Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Former President Donald Trump's defense rests its case without calling him to the stand when jurors could begin deliberating.
Ridding Durham city parks of lead when the public could soon get answers to the problem.
President Joe Biden offers Israel unwavering support as the International Criminal Court issues arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders. The defense rested its case in Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial in New York without calling him to the stand. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for joining us. That move comes after the defense only called 2 witnesses. WRAL's Chris Levengood is live with us here in studio. Chris, the defense's case lasted just over 2 hours compared to weeks for the prosecution.
And the one person the defense didn't call, Jeff, former President Donald Trump, their client. Trump didn't speak when he left the courthouse and didn't answer a question about why he wasn't testifying. Previously, Trump said he wanted to take the stand to defend himself against what he called politically motivated charges. Now, the jury will not return until a week from today, and that's when closing arguments are expected. The judge said the session could last for a while when that happens, and that's because it'll be the last time the prosecution and defense would be able to speak. The jury's deliberation will start after that. The judge also told the court before the end of session today, quote, "I'll see you in a week." And that is when we could see the outcome to this historic case, the first time a former president has been on trial for criminal charges.
After 20 days in court, it'll come to a wrap next week. Chris, thanks for the update.
Durham City Council is ready to tackle the issue of lead contamination in parks. It has been nearly a year since lead was discovered in the soil at 5 city parks. Now, fixing the problem could be part of the upcoming budget. WRAL's Monica Casey is live at one of those parks. Monica, this issue is constantly evolving.
Yeah, Renee, that's right. I'm here at Northgate Park. Part of this area has been fenced off since August of last year, but now pretty much all of it is fenced off, including that popular playground over there. The city blocked off this larger area after the EPA revised its guidance regarding lead in the soil just last month. Now, last night, the Durham city manager presented her proposed budget, which allocates $5 million to fixing the issues at these 5 parks scattered across Durham. It's unclear how much the total price tag for the soil remediation will be. Right now, playgrounds remain closed at Northgate, Walltown, East Durham, East End, and Lyon Park. Initially, the soil at those playgrounds wasn't tested because the playgrounds have liner and mulch as a barrier between the soil and children playing there. But after conversations with the community, the city decided to fence off those as well. Lead in soil is not just a Durham issue, but a nationwide one, where former incinerator sites were converted to public parks. All 5 of Durham parks have been accepted into the state's program for testing and assessment. NCDEQ is still working on them, and you can see right over here behind me, they're actually working right now here at Northgate. Tomorrow night at 6:30, the Parks and Rec Department will be hosting a public forum for people to get answers about how this process has been going. There will be state representatives from the state agencies at that public forum as well to help answer some of the lingering questions. Renee?
Well, and families have concerns and they want to know when they can enjoy those parks again. Monica, thank you.
A person was killed on an airplane. The flight was from London to Singapore and it hit severe turbulence. That plane was diverted to Bangkok, where emergency crews rushed to help injured passengers. Data shows a Boeing 777 suddenly pitched down from 37,000 feet to 31,000 feet within 3 minutes. Medical tents were set up on the tarmac where dozens of passengers were treated for injuries. 30 people were taken to the hospital for treatment. A flight attendant from Charlotte is due back in court in July, charged with secretly recording a 14-year-old girl using an airplane restroom last fall. Estes Thompson III pleaded not guilty on one count of attempted sexual exploitation of children and possession of images of child sexual abuse. Authorities say he put his phone over the toilet to record a teen minutes before she went into that facility. Officers say Thompson also had recordings of 4 other young teens using the airplane's restroom.
Israel sought today to contain the fallout from a request by the chief prosecutor of the world's top war crimes court. It issued arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity. NBC's Raf Sanchez reports from Tel Aviv.
Both Israel and the United States are pushing back hard against the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court after he announced he is seeking the arrest of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's defense minister, as well as 3 top leaders in Hamas. President Biden, speaking at the White House, says he rejects any equivalence between the democratically elected government of Israel and the leadership of the Hamas militant group. Prime Minister Netanyahu saying that this is like the ICC comparing Osama bin Laden to President George W. Bush in the wake of the September 11th terror attacks, and says that Israel is exercising its right to self-defense in this war in Gaza. Now, the prosecutor of the International Court accusing Israel of deliberately starving Palestinian civilians by cutting off food to the Strip, and of, at points, intentionally targeting civilians during the war. The prosecutor also accusing Hamas leaders, including Yahya Sinwar, the alleged mastermind of the October 7th attack, of crimes including murder, rape, torture, and hostage-taking. Hamas, for its part, is condemning the court, and it is saying that it has the right to, quote, armed resistance as enshrined in the UN Charter. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
The body of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi has arrived in Tehran as part of funeral ceremony scheduled to run over several days. Government and military officials lined the streets. Many could be seen publicly weeping as a military escort carried the coffin. Raisi died in a helicopter crash Sunday morning along with other high-ranking officials.
The cost you have to pay for your child's school lunch may be going up. Wake County Schools leaders will vote today on that price hike. WRAL's Laura Levine reports this will be the 3rd year in a row prices go up.
Several families who depend on having their students eat breakfast and lunch at schools like this one here behind me will be impacted by this. The proposal is looking at increasing meal prices for next year because of the rising cost of food, supplies, and to support employee benefits. The proposal would raise breakfast and lunch prices at all schools by 25 cents. Prices would go up to $3.50 and $1.75 for elementary school lunch and breakfast. They would increase to $3.75 and $2 for middle and high school lunches and breakfasts. For a 177-day school year, we know this will all add up, and that will cost a family about $44 more for lunch per child. It would cost about $88 per child if the family buys breakfast and lunch. Again, this would be the 3rd year in a row that the school board would look at increasing meal prices. This is something that we will continue to follow as the school board is set to vote on this today at 1 p.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Also, Wake County educators are planning a rally at the county budget meeting today. They're calling on commissioners to increase school funding and give employees raises. The $49 million increase in money for the school district is about $14 million less than the Board of Education requested.
Still to come, 2 Raleigh shootings are being investigated by police. The unusual number of evidence markers outside a home and the connection between the 2 incidents.
Also, don't look at our mountain. What Japan has done to stop people from taking photos of Mount Fuji and why.
Plus, blocking public access to autopsy records. At 12:30, the bill the state legislature is proposing that would limit people seeing those records in criminal cases. Elizabeth.
It is a gorgeous afternoon out there. Take a look at Sanford. Just a few puffy cumulus clouds with that bright blue sky. Temperatures are about to creep up, and so is our humidity. I'll show you how much hotter it will feel by the end of the week.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
This morning, the governor of Maryland updated the city and the nation on efforts to remove the debris from the deadly bridge collapse in Baltimore. Governor Westmore also thanked Congress, lawmakers, and residents for their support during the recovery process. Caroline Shively reports Maryland's governor says the work is not over.
The Key Bridge remains a mangled mess, but on Tuesday, officials announced progress on restoring commerce to the Port of Baltimore.
We later today will reopen a 400-foot wide by 50-foot deep channel to 24/7 operations.
Officials say they can get the channel to 700 feet wide by the end of May, months ahead of schedule.
And over the next week, we expect another 20 vessels and barges to come through the port's public terminals. But I do want to be very, very clear this morning. The mission's not over.
Before the cargo ship Dolly slammed into the bridge, causing its collapse and the death of 6 workers 8 weeks ago, the Port of Baltimore moved nearly $7 billion of cargo a month. On Monday, tugboats pulled the Dolly back to port a week after crews used controlled explosives to remove debris from the 947-foot-long vessel. Lloyd's of London estimates the bridge collapse could be the most expensive maritime tragedy in U.S. history. The White House has pledged $60 million to rebuild the bridge and asked Congress to pass additional funding.
We can do big things. We can accomplish aggressive timelines. We just want to ensure that we have the partnership with Congress.
That was Caroline Shively reporting. And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, former President Donald Trump posted a video on his Truth Social page showing images of a fake newspaper article that references a unified Reich if he is elected in 2024. His campaign spokesperson says the campaign did not post this, and it was reported by a staffer who clearly did not see the word while the president was in court. The video details what happens after Donald Trump wins under one headline that reads, "What's next for America?" is a reference to the creation of a unified Reich. The term Reich is often associated with Nazi Germany. The video was taken down from his Truth Social page.
2 incidents of gunshots being fired in Raleigh are believed to be connected. One happened at a home on Fitzgerald Drive, and WRAL's Kelsey Coffey reports on the other call that went out around the same time.
Raleigh police are investigating outside of this home on Fitzgerald Drive. They've been gathering around the front door now for several hours. Take a look at this video. You can see more than 90 evidence markers outside the home. Police say they received a shots fired call from here around 3:30 this morning. They say bullets hit the home, but no one was there at the time. And there was another shots fired report around the same time as this one that happened in an area about 4 minutes away at the intersection of Garner Road and Bragg Street. Police believe these 2 incidents are connected. We'll be sure to keep you updated on the details of both of these investigations. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
An 18-year-old is in custody after authorities say he shot at officers who were executing a search warrant in Halifax County. Officers are accusing the 18-year-old of shooting from inside a home on Elm Street in Weldon about 8:30 last night. More than 2 hours later, 18-year-old Umel Jackson walked out of that house unarmed. No one was hurt. We're going to find out if investigators found a weapon inside the house.
You're looking at surveillance video of a high-end heist at a store at a luxury Miami hotel. Prosecutors say thieves stole nearly $2 million worth of Hermes handbags. Watch as the two stuffed the purses into bins until they filled to the brim. The 2 men then escaped in separate vehicles. At least one was tracked down by his license plate, which was linked to another crime. A news crew captured the exact moment the driver lost control, slammed into a parked minivan in Milwaukee, and witnesses rushed over to help as the driver of that stolen car ran from the scene. People tended to the passenger of the stolen car, who was later taken to the hospital and then arrested. A man sitting inside the minivan at the time of the crash was also treated.
I guess it's possible to have too much of a good thing. A Japanese town is putting up a giant mesh barrier to block a popular selfie spot near Mount Fuji. Tourists flock to a convenience store right in that part of Japan near the mountain to get a perfect shot of the peaceful mountain behind it. Town officials, though, they say many people leave garbage and cause erosion along the way. Japan has been experiencing over-tourism since reopening after the pandemic in late 2022. Chicago is under slight risk of more severe weather today after suspected microbursts caused serious damage in several neighborhoods there. Broken tree limbs crashed through homes and cars, making some roads impassable as the violent storm hit on Monday. A severe thunderstorm warning was issued ahead of that storm. There are no reports of injuries or deaths. Microbursts can be dangerous, sudden activity there.
Yeah. No alerts or warnings for us, just encouragement to get on out there and enjoy this gorgeous weather. Oh, Elizabeth, what a beautiful day in May.
Yes, it's definitely a get outside alert kind of a day. And there are definitely people that are doing that. Take a look at all the folks out here at Pinehurst Resort and Country Club and look at that absolutely beautiful blue sky. And we're seeing that everywhere. The blue sky, just a few puffy cumulus clouds. We're going to see this for the rest of the day. Not likely to see any changes. It is very pleasant right now. 79 degrees is our temperature around the triangle. We have a northeast wind at 7 miles per hour. So you figure a wind coming out of the northeast is going to at least have some cool air associated with it. And I'll show you what's about to change in a little while. Mid 80s through the afternoon, but because of that northeast wind, this is a fairly dry air mass. So it's not terribly muggy or sticky out there. It may be a bit breezy from time to time this afternoon. Notice Rocky Mount is gusting to 17 miles per hour out of the northeast. But for the most part, our winds are anywhere from 5 to 7 miles per hour, and just pretty quiet. Just a lovely day. 84 in Raleigh, 84 in Durham, and in Fayetteville for our high temperatures this afternoon. We'll take a look at our muggy meter. We're way down at the bottom of tolerable, so almost comfy. It feels just fine. Now, once you get on the other end of 60, it starts to feel steamy, and that's where we're headed over the next couple of days. Take a look at this. Tomorrow, we're going to bounce on up into steamy, and then all the way into tropical, which is going to be a dew point in the 70s. And that's what we typically see in the summertime. You know how it just feels oppressive, like somebody threw a wet blanket over you? That's where we're headed over the weekend. Also with a chance of afternoon and evening thunderstorms, which could affect your plans to be outside. The Durham Bulls start a homestand from now all the way through the weekend. So we're going to see some increasing warmth and humidity, but it doesn't look like any particular day is going to be a washout. For example, today is just beautiful. Our temperature at game time tonight, 6:30, 79 degrees. Wednesday, 83, and Thursday, 86. And each day it'll be a little hotter and a little more humid. Now, late Thursday, there's a very small chance of thunderstorms and then potentially some afternoon storms headed our way. I wanted to pause that right there. Did you happen to catch those blue arrows right there before that loop began? We have just that last little bit of that northeasterly flow, and then you saw how quickly it changed to that southerly flow and the arrows turned red. So we are looking at a big warm up and the moisture that comes with it when we have our flow coming out of the south. Our normal high is 81, so we're in the mid 80s except for Thursday, which is 92, and it'll feel more like mid to upper 90s because we'll have a lot more humidity in the area. Now, once we get back into the weekend, Friday all the way through Monday, we'll see a little bit more cloud cover. That'll hold our temperatures into the mid 80s for highs, and of course we have pretty much an equal chance each day of afternoon and evening thunderstorms. We check out the morning lows, and our morning lows are going to be warm again. So it's definitely a summer pattern that we'll be into for the holiday weekend. Coming up, we'll walk through Futurecast hour by hour, and I'll show you when to expect the storms each day.
Elizabeth, thanks. Two different rankings put Raleigh as one of the best cities to live in the U.S. Ahead on our news at 4, why the city of Oaks is among the best for quality of life and economic performance.
Then at 5:30, 5 on your side breaks down everything you need to know ahead of one of the busiest travel weekends of the year. But still ahead this noon, just when you thought chatbots were advanced, techies find another way to blow your mind. The company that's introducing technology that predicts what you want. Next.
You could say that Peloton is borrowing one of Diddy's famous lines, the change the company is making to his musical lineup in lieu of the producer's legal troubles. Welcome back. Here's a live look at the DBAP. What a beautiful view with all that sunshine and blue skies, and our temperatures feeling nice. We'll see a high of 84. Wendy's has a new low-cost breakfast deal, and Target is dropping prices to give folks a break. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
Target is slashing prices on 5,000 items to attract inflation-weary consumers. Everything from milk, bread, and meat to peanut butter, coffee, and diapers will get price cuts. The retailer says it knows consumers are feeling pressured to make the most of their budget. And in one example, the price of a pack of Thomas's Plain Bagels has been dropped 40 cents to $3.79, down from $4.19. Target has already cut prices on about 1,500 of its items, with the rest to be reduced throughout the summer. Scarlett Johansson says OpenAI used a voice similar to hers for its new artificial intelligence tool. The voice is called Sky, and OpenAI says it's the natural voice of a different actress it hired. Johansson was the voice behind the virtual assistant in the 2013 movie Her, and she says she declined an offer from OpenAI to be involved with its new AI product. OpenAI says it has paused use of the tool out of respect to Johansson. Wendy's is offering a $3 breakfast deal. The meal includes a breakfast sandwich and an order of potatoes. It's an effort to boost sales as consumers continue to cut back on dining out. Just last week, McDonald's was reported to be set to roll out a $5 meal, a deal to pull in consumers. The McDonald's value meal is expected to be available in late June for about a month. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ Market Site.
Microsoft is introducing a new generation of PCs that will figure out what you want to do before you do. The company says new artificial intelligence chatbots will remember everything you do on your computer, which will help users figure out what they want to do next. The software company revealed the upgraded version of its AI assistant called Copilot as competition revs up with other big tech companies in the battle of AI.
Peloton is pausing the use of Diddy's music. The company posted on its private members' Facebook page saying they paused the use of Sean Combs' music, as well as removed the Bad Boy Entertainment Artist series. This comes after a video from 2016 resurfaced, appearing to show the rapper kicking and shoving his ex-girlfriend Cassie. Pedigree is pulling certain bags of its dog food from Walmart shelves because they could contain metal. The pet food brand is recalling the 44-pound bags of Pedigree Adult Complete Nutrition grilled steak and vegetable flavor dry dog food. The product has a Best Buy date of March 4th, 2025. Stop using it immediately and contact the company for a full refund.
Blocking public access to autopsy records. After the break, our Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie explains the bill the state legislature is proposing that would limit people seeing those records in criminal cases. Also,
I think a lot of these retailers that are now cutting prices or advertising new deals to sort of offer themselves as presenting better value to customers.
And we'll take a look at some of those deals companies are offering to lure back their customer base. And here are your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen. We'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Some state lawmakers want to restrict public access to autopsy reports. They say it would protect due process rights, but it would also restrict the public's right to know.
a key committee heard the proposal today. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie is live at the legislature with what the bill would change. Laura.
Renee, that bill unveiled just minutes ago would restrict public access to autopsy records, even for the family, and even in cases that involve when someone dies in an incident involving the police. Senator Danny Britt is a former prosecutor. He says autopsy reports, audio and video, should be sealed from the public's eye until after any criminal proceedings have ended, and that could be years. Even the family could not obtain the actual report until after the trial, although the DA could review it with them. Britt says there have been cases of families releasing autopsy records on social media. He says sealing them is necessary to avoid tainting the jury pool.
It's a pretty substantial closing of public records.
It could be, yes. But again, I think that due process in the courts is more important than the public knowing about what happened related to someone's death. I think it's more important for someone to be prosecuted and for that prosecution to be upheld.
The change could be problematic in death cases involving law enforcement or detention officers. Only the DA, the medical examiner, and criminal investigators would have access to the autopsy in those cases to know how the person actually died. Britt says the bill is still being worked on and could change before it gets its first vote next week. Renee?
Laura Leslie live at the state legislature. Thank you. And happening right now in the WRAL Life Center, Durham police have charged a man in connection with a fatal hit-and-run crash involving a pedestrian. They have charged this man, Joshua Alston, in connection with a hit-and-run crash that happened on May 4th on North Miami Boulevard. Timothy Wright was killed. Alston has been charged with involuntary manslaughter and felony hit-and-run resulting in death, among other charges.
The Edgecombe County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help finding a driver who they say hit a person. They say it happened last Thursday about 1 in the afternoon outside the Keelan plant near NC 111. Now, the Sheriff's Office shared this video, and they're looking for a newer white Hyundai Sonata with damage to the front right panel and passenger door. They say a woman was hurt in that crash. If you have any information on it, you should call the Sheriff's Office. In Durham, someone with a gunshot wound showed up at the hospital. Investigators believe that person was shot near the intersection of East Lawson Street and Wabash Street. WRAL Sky 5 flew over that scene as officers investigated. The person hit is expected to recover. No one is in custody. If you know anything about this incident, call DBT.
NC State says the two people who were shot blocks from campus this past weekend had no ties to the university. The first shooting happened just before midnight Saturday on Sherman Avenue and Clanton Street. 22-year-old J.J. Cooper was killed. Another man was shot less than an hour later at Sherman and Gorman Street. No word on his condition. Radio traffic captured the moments first responders got to the first scene.
Also advise unknown suspect information, so use caution on scene. It's going to be GSW to the face.
Cooper's mother told WRAL he was walking to the Taco Bell when he was shot and said her son was loved and didn't deserve this. So far, police have not made any arrests in either case.
Former President Donald Trump's attorneys rest their case after calling former advisor Michael Cohen to the stand. As Connor Hansen reports, jurors were sent home for the day and they're expected to get the case next week.
In just 1 week, former President Donald Trump's fate could be in the hands of a jury in his Manhattan criminal trial. His attorneys winding down their case with closing arguments expected to come next Tuesday.
Won the case by any standard. Any other judge who would have thrown this case out.
Robert Costello returned to the stand. He's a former legal advisor to the prosecution's primary witness, former Trump attorney Michael Cohen. That came shortly after Cohen finished his testimony admitting to stealing from Trump by keeping money that was supposed to go to a tech company. Costello later testified that Cohen told him Trump, quote, knew nothing about the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels.
Costello said to him, do you have anything on Trump that we could use to trade with the Southern District to try to get sentencing leniency? And he told him, he said 10 to 20 times, Bob, I have nothing on Trump.
And in a dramatic moment, Judge Juan Merchan ordered the courtroom cleared after Costello was muttering under his breath and rolling his eyes. Though some legal analysts say the exchange could play in favor of the defense.
I think the interplay between between Costello and the judge, the jury picked that up. And the jury obviously feels, in my opinion, that the judge is favoring the prosecution.
It was Connor Hansen reporting. Closing arguments in the case are expected to take place next Tuesday.
A big reversal in medical guidance. Why doctors say moms with HIV can breastfeed their babies.
You want to keep your knees pain-free? Hop on a bike. Why it helps reduce your risk for pain and arthritis.
Keep up with WRAL News by downloading the WRAL News app. It brings the best of WRAL's reporting and technology resources wherever you need it to be.
Bring you back this noon, those puffy clouds and blue skies over Fenton in Cary. Beautiful day to walk around and watch WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
A dramatic reversal in the guidance over whether it's safe for mothers with HIV to breastfeed. The American Academy of Pediatrics says mothers with HIV can now breastfeed their babies as long as they are taking medications that effectively suppress the virus that causes AIDS. The report acknowledges routinely prescribed drugs can now reduce the risk of transmitting HIV through breast milk to less than 1%. A mother describes what it was like being denied the opportunity to breastfeed her first child.
I felt like I had carried him for 7.5 months, and I was able to keep him safe and free of HIV that long by taking my medication and, going to the doctor, doing the things that I knew that I needed to do. But now, since he was no longer in my body, now it felt like I was some type of harm, or I could cause some type of harm to him.
CeCe Coven says that experience 13 years ago led her into a spiral of postpartum depression. When she later became pregnant with her now 2-year-old daughter, her healthcare team helped her successfully breastfeed for 7 months.
Today, school leaders in Wake County will review a plan to add naloxone to each school. The proposal would include training 3 staff members at each school and office building on how to use the overdose reversal medication. Last year, naloxone was used 21 times for suspected overdoses in North Carolina schools. At least one more vote is required after today's board meeting to approve the policy change. Biking may help with knee pain and arthritis. An observational study found people who biked at any point in their lives were less likely to develop knee pain. They were also less likely to develop arthritis with pain in the knee joint. The observational study only shows an association between cycling and less pain and joint damage. It doesn't explain why biking was helpful or how often people should do it. But the authors believe cycling builds muscles around the knees without putting too much strain on the joints.
Many pools will be opening this Memorial Day, and if you're planning to take your little ones swimming, there are some safety issues parents need to keep in mind. Pediatrician Dr. Richard says it only takes a second for an accident to happen. In fact, according to the CDC, more children ages 1 to 4 years old die from drowning than any other cause of death. To avoid that kind of tragedy, it's recommended that children take swimming lessons by the age of 4 or even earlier if they live near a pool or pond or have a boat. And when it comes to life jackets, those should be Coast Guard approved.
There should be an adult water watcher within an arm's length of your kids while they're at any public pool or even any personal pool.
The doctor says besides swimming lessons to protect your child, everyone who owns a pool should have at least an adult who knows CPR. He also says it's important to make sure the pool is fenced in and has a working alarm on the gate. That way, if your child does somehow sneak out, you'll be alerted. The High Court in London deals Prince Harry a blow in his lawsuit against a British tabloid. How the ruling could impact the Duke of Sussex's case. Plus.
Not a care in the world. Say hello. So here's another one.
Yeah, just hanging out. We'll take you to Tennessee, where a young bear proves he can be a model citizen when given a chance.
Tomorrow, lawyers for Elvis Presley's granddaughter head to court to try to stop the foreclosure sale of Graceland. The sale date has been set for Thursday. Presley bought Graceland Mansion in 1957, and Lisa Marie inherited the property after her father's death in 1977. Lisa Marie died in January of 2023, so her daughter became heir to the estate and trustee of the trust. A company says she borrowed close to $4 million and gave them a deed of trust. The family claims that never happened. Prince Harry cannot include media mogul Rupert Murdoch in his lawsuit against a phone hacking claim against Murdoch's British newspaper company. Harry claims he was targeted by journalists and private investigators working for The Sun. The prince and more than 40 others are suing News Group newspapers over accusations of unlawful activities by journalists and private investigators.
Big news for bargain hunters who are fed up with inflation and high prices everywhere. Target announced it is lowering prices on about 5,000 items in its stores. It's not the only place you'll find deals. NBC's Vicki Nguyen looks at what's behind the price reductions.
New discounts in aisles across America.
What we value most shouldn't cost more.
With Target hoping for hot summer sales, now lowering the prices of 1,500 items, with thousands more ahead in the coming months. Many of the deals include groceries and family staples like milk, meat, bread, fresh fruit and vegetables, diapers, paper towels, and pet food. For example, Target's store brand organic baby spinach will drop to $2.99, a 30-cent savings, and Clorox scented wipes will go from $5.79 to $4.99, a savings of 80 cents. What's behind this decision by Target?
Consumers have been showing very strong price fatigue.
Target going after budget-conscious shoppers and other big chains like Dollar Tree, which recently told investors it will now feature items up to $7.
Okay, change the name. Wealthy Tree. Fortune Tree.
And Walmart, despite reporting more high-income customers, revealing shoppers are being more selective with their purchases. Their CFO telling CNBC wallets are still stretched. With stricter budgets heading into the warmer months, many Americans are anxious for prices to cool off.
I just paid $6 for these grapes. This is crazy.
Now, major retailers and chains are responding, looking for ways to satisfy inflation-weary customers.
When did McDonald's get so expensive?
Last week, McDonald's announced it's introducing a limited edition $5 value meal at the end of June.
So you get a drink, all the chips and salsa you can eat, a giant entree, and a side starting at just $10.99?
While casual dining chains like Chili's and Applebee's now serving up discounted dishes, with consumers hungry for a deal.
Target on the cheap. And others joining in. I like that. I like how they call it strong fatigue from the shoppers, price fatigue.
Yeah.
We're just tired. It's too much.
Tired of those high prices, but we're not tired of this beautiful weather.
Oh, no.
And it's free. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look around town.
Yes, if we could just, strong arm it to stick around a little bit longer, that would be great. Here's a look at Goldsboro and Apex Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. We're seeing blue sky everywhere with just some big puffy cumulus clouds. Not very much moisture in the atmosphere today. That's making it feel very comfortable. But we see that moisture starting to creep up. Earlier in the newscast, I showed you that we're dealing with a northeasterly wind right now. But once that wind shifts to southerly, it starts to bring more warmth and moisture up. Here's a look at our high pressure system. High pressure systems rotate clockwise. And so in this position, that high has been feeding us that flow off the North Atlantic, which has been on the drier side. So as the high moves away from us, it's going to start to tap into some of the really warm, more tropical type air. And that starts to creep into our area beginning tomorrow. Also, well to our west, we have some scattered storms, some severe weather happening right now across parts of Iowa. That will continue to push northward. Eventually, we'll see a system that develops across the Midwest and slides our way with a cold front. And we'll start to see that approaching us by Thursday. So that front is likely to stall across our area. But when it stalls, it's going to lose a lot of its energy. So it'll just leave enough around for some afternoon and evening thunderstorms. So scattered late day storms likely starting Thursday all the way through Monday. It's not going to be a washout. Doesn't look like it's going to rain all day, every day. We'll start with Thursday. Thursday, we're going to see the solid flow coming up out of the south ahead of the front. It's going to be warm and sticky, and a few scattered thunderstorms will develop late in the afternoon and evening. Then we'll wake up on Friday morning to variably cloudy skies, and we'll end Friday again with some scattered showers and storms. That one in particular, you need to think carefully about if you're planning to go out of town and you're going to leave, right after work or late afternoon. It's already really busy on a holiday weekend on the roads around here, and if you add rain to it, it makes it even worse. So you may want to rethink, can you go earlier? Can you go Saturday? Because it could be really, really tricky out there. Saturday, we'll wake up to mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, and this version of Futurecast is really backed off on the rain on Saturday. I still feel like we have a chance, but notice even by 7, 8 p.m., it's really just widely scattered. All right, how about Sunday? We start off with dry conditions, and again, late day showers and thunderstorms, and Monday, more of the same. So you can see not a ton of coverage. We're going to get about a 20% chance Thursday, 30 Friday, 50 Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Right now, this takes us all the way out through Saturday, and you can see 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. The thing about the rainfall that we see over the weekend, we're going to see the scattered thunderstorms. It's not going to be that widespread rain. So we're going to see widely varying amounts of precipitation. Before we see that front stalling over the area, and we're going to be pretty hot on Thursday, a high of 92. It'll feel more like a mid to upper 90s. So that's going to be a hot and sticky day. And it will still be warm because we'll see the scattered thunderstorms. Highs will still be able to make it into the mid to upper 80s through the holiday weekend.
Thanks, Elizabeth. A lot of folks consider cicadas a nuisance, but your pet may see them as a delicacy. Crunchy, yummy. Coming up, a vet offers advice to keep your pets safe during the cicada invasion.
And here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers: 1, 7, 48, 64, and 68. The Powerball was 5, and the Power Play is 2. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
The defense rested its case in Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial in New York without calling him to the stand. The move comes after the defense only called 2 witnesses. Trump didn't speak when he left the courthouse. The jury will not return until a week from today. That's when closing arguments are expected.
Durham City Council is ready to tackle the issue of lead contamination in parks. It's been nearly a year since lead was discovered in the soil at 5 city parks. Last night, the city manager presented her proposed budget, which allocates $5 million to fixing the issues at these 5 parks scattered across the city. It's unclear how much the total price tag for soil remediation will be.
A person is dead after a flight from London to Singapore hit some severe turbulence. The plane was diverted to Bangkok, where emergency crews rushed